Yeah, it's even got here in the Vishnu Purana. I think that the Vishnu and the Vayu Purana will give more details, and it may even give details to answers that we're not too clear on it from the Bhagavatam, because it's got here, even situated in one city, the sun touches three other cities and two intermediate places. So there's definitely more like additional details that the Bhagavatam, because of the purpose of establishing pure devotional service, deemed unnecessary to include. Amongst the four directions around Meru, wherever the sun is seen to rise, it is noon in the Varsha to the east, midnight to the Varsha in the west, and sunset to the Varsha in the north to the north. Another thing to note is, you know, all the different planets around in Jambudweep, like all the different sections of Jambudweep. Mount Meru is north for all of those planets. There's not a separate north direction for wherever you are. Mount Meru is the north. So for us, Mount Meru is north. For Ilavrita Varsha, Mount Meru is north. For Ketamalu Varsha, Mount Meru is north. Like north is, Meru is always north. Meru is the north point.
It's in so Meru is that in terms of the Jambudweep, so as I remember. So Mount Meru is actually situated in the center, right? But yes. For each, and then so for each region, yes. All the other regions are around Meru, but for each of those regions, Mount Meru is always the north.
Yes.
Yeah. Correct. Okay.
So so when it's talking about this description about the sun, about east, west, right? It's always Mount Meru is always north relative to the other regions.
Okay. And the reason that, I mean, off the back of Vajnath Gopal's question, the reason I brought up whether the Earth is a globe or well, it's flat. Obviously, it's not a globe, but like you mentioned, but because in terms of the midnight and sunrise, sunset, midday of relative places on the Earth. Obviously, that's explained scientifically by the rotation of the Earth on its axis, and so whichever portion of the Earth is closest to the sun, then that portion's in the daytime. Whichever portion of the Earth is on the other side of the Earth, away from the sun, and that's night. So, in a Western understanding, that the different experience of daytime is explained by the rotation of the Earth as a globe. So yeah, I was just kind of thinking what would be
flat Western flat earthers deal with that argument like this. They say, let's say you have an island with a flag on it.
Yeah.
And you go across a few kilometers and there's another island with a flag on it. I don't know the exact distance, but you shouldn't be able to see the flag on another island if the Earth was a globe. Does that make sense?
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't be able to see it because if you calculate the distance of the Earth, if you calculate the angle, the circular angle of the Earth, if it was a sphere, at a certain point in your distance, in your distant vision, you should not be able to see a particular flag on an island if we keep the flags the same height. But you can. So flat earthers refute that in that way.
Can you? Like, when does that happen in reality? Or what's like, I don't understand how.
For example, there might be a ship in the distance that you shouldn't be able to see if the Earth was is spherical. So let me show you with an image.
But then what about the sun disappearing from our vision then? Yeah, would that still apply in that case?
Oh, in terms of the flat Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, the West, I don't know what they say about that. I'm not sure what they say about the sun. Oh, what do they say? Yeah, I'm not so sure what they say about the sun disappearing then with that. But
Yeah, 'cause
one the argument that they give is, let's say you have this is part of Earth, yeah? Your hair and according to I don't know this distance, like I don't know the distance, but flat earthers say that if the earth is round, then according to so many kilometers, there's going to be a flag or a ship that's in this direction. You shouldn't be able to see that ship according to the, if they calculate the distance with the angles and all of that. They calculate the angles. But in actuality, you can see the ship. So why is it you can see the ship? If the earth is round, you shouldn't be able to see the ship because it should actually be, in theory, there. So how is it you can see that ship still? Does that make sense, that the argument they put across? Well, one of the arguments they put across.
Does this argument apply to a given distance?
Yeah, but I just don't know what distance it is.
Okay, now that makes more sense. Because I was thinking, I don't know, because we can't see all the way into the distance. But
exactly, yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, like that. Or they'll be calculating that, or they might calculate, based on the distance you are above Earth, which is, like 50, 500 meters above Earth, you should be able to see. You should be able to see only up to this point here. But why is it that you can see up to that point here? Is because the Earth's flat. Like that. They'll say something like that. That's one way they contradict. But I don't know what they say in terms of why is the sun, if the Earth is flat, where does the sun go when it disappears? That one I'm not too sure about. But their thing is that the map kind of looks a little bit like this. Where's my pictures gone? It's not any of those. Ah. I think their theory is kind of something like that. Yeah, they kind of come up with something like that the Earth is round, but it's like more on a disc. It's not exactly a sphere, it's like a disc. So you can still go around and orbit the Earth, but the Earth is a disc, not a sphere. That's what they kind of come up with. But I just pasted it. Yeah, go on.
What about us then?
Where are we?
No,
but devotees.
Yeah.
I mean, even devotees are split between if it's a flat or a sphere. I see a lot of different kind of debates online. But here's Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam says this. This is 5.16.6. The planetary system known as Bhumandala resembles a lotus flower, and its 7 islands resemble the whorl of that flower. The length and breadth of the island known as Jambudvip, which is situated in the middle of the world, are 8 million miles. Jambudvip is round like the leaf of a lotus flower.
Prabhu, do you have a pic? You must have spoken about this before. I'm sorry, I actually can't depict it in my mind. Do you have a picture that illustrates that?
Be like the lotus that we see is generally, you know, the one that we see Vishnu holding.
Yeah.
Here's your choice. Here's your choice.
High tech, like.
I can't go further than that statement until I read Vayu Purana, Vishnu Purana. Take your pick. You see, you can't say the Earth's flat. See that description. Like, read that. What does that mean? It says that the Earth's round, but it doesn't say that it's a ball. It says the Earth. It says where, you know, Jambudvip, we're a section of Jambudvip, we're in the southerly section of Jambudvip. It says it's round. So a leaf, the definition of round is you can connect, you can go around the edge of a shape. You can go around the edge of a shape. There's some sort of circular angle. So it does say, you know, so it does say that it's round, but it doesn't say that it's a sphere. I think there might be some indication of a sphere in I think it may be like in Mahabharata. I can't search Mahabharata on this, I don't think. But that's basically, yeah. Basically what we get. What's the next verse? Yeah, then it goes into divisions. And then it goes into what those divisions are. Check this out, by the way. Shukadev Goswami says that he can't even describe it perfectly, and he's a great sage. So he says, no one could possibly explain it perfectly, even in a lifetime as long as that of Brahma. So even he says, I can't even explain it perfectly. I can give you the principal regions, but I can't explain it perfectly. Even Shukadev Goswami says that. So somehow or other, it's just the shapes or the colors or the species, like somehow or other, it's just like our conception. It's literally trying to describe 3D to someone who can only see 2D. You just can't describe that final depth, right? Like breadth, you know, length and width. Someone's thinking in length and width. Someone's thinking in lengths. You can't describe length and width. Someone's thinking in length and widths. You can't describe length, width, and depth. You just can't describe it, because the words and the conception that the person who's thinking in 2D has, you can't describe it in 3D. And our Brahma has 4 heads. There's other Brahmas that have millions of heads. And that's all still within the material world. So imagine the Brahma with 4 heads conversing with the Brahma of 1,000,000 heads. There's just not the, you just couldn't explain it fully in details without them having some sort of higher consciousness, higher awareness. However, as we practice, I mean, first of all, the material energy is just a fragment of Krishna, but as we advance in our consciousness, we start to experience realizations of higher dimensions. It's interesting, isn't it? It's like you have to, the cosmos, it's like, so Bhagavatam's perfectly describing up to our level of consciousness that we can conceive, even though even at this level it's still, it's kind of like, oh, what does that mean? But the Vishnu and the Vayu Puranas, I'll let you know if I kind of ever dive into those or find some good references from those that describe, cosmology in more details, because I know that they were using it to help inform the model, the TOVP model. I don't know what the models these days, but the model. And what was the other thing that came to mind? I mean, there's this interesting riddle. Hridayananda Maharaj, he started a lecture. There's a lecture called Why is Krishna Blue? And in the lecture, he starts off by saying, let's say you're sitting at your computer and then you're there and then you fall asleep and then you dream about you being in front of a computer, or you watch a video of you in front of the computer, or you're daydreaming about you being in front of the computer. He says, how can you distinguish between the different levels of reality? Like, one's you in front of a computer, one's you dreaming, one's you daydreaming, and one's you watching a video of it. So how can you distinguish between the different levels of reality? Like, how can you distinguish if you're awake or not? And he says that ultimately, after everyone's given an answer, he says ultimately it's a gift from God. So Krishna will give us that ability, that perception. And it's true, the same with Arjuna and the Gita. Arjuna just couldn't behold he wouldn't be able to behold what Krishna's actually about to show him. So he has to give him divine eyes to be able to see it. So yeah, it seems like somehow or other, these are the descriptions we're going to get, or we have. And then as we kind of move more and more in our, progress more and more in our Krishna consciousness, that extra details about the cosmos, alongside many other things, will be revealed by experience, by pratyaksha. Seems that way. But does the Bhagavatam say that Earth's flat? It says Bhumandala is flat. Does it? It says it's part of a lotus. A leaf is flat. A leaf's not a sphere. Part of a leaf of a lotus is flat, but at the same time it's round. It doesn't describe it necessarily as a football shape, but somehow it's part of a leaf that's round. And another, So, and leaves, leaves kind of, I know that there's descriptions of in that Goloka Vrindavan, I'm pretty sure is also described as a lotus flower that can expand and contract to serve the pastimes. But that's on a spiritual level. So I think that it's an interesting one. Is it Earth flat and round? I don't see why it can't be, but how it is specifically, I don't think we've been able to conceive that shape. I don't think our mind's eye has the exact shape to perceive it perfectly at this stage in our development, I think. So yeah, an interesting one. But yeah, Shukadev Goswami, he says, hey, I can't describe this perfectly, let alone anyone else. So there's a bit of solace for that. All right. Any other kind of questions? Yeah, Brajanak Prabhu, I'll put your question on hold. I'll try and get some more info. But the way I've reconciled your question in my mind over the years anyway is that I can't see the sun now is because me, relative to the position of the sun's far away.
Yeah.
And for others, it's just a matter of the observer. It's closer. Of course, it would make more sense if the whole of Russia is all midday at the same time and all midnight at the same time. But somehow, it's not. And I mean, here's another argument that the flat earthers give about this, that the earth is not a ball. if the ball is if the Earth is rotating on its own axis, if the ball is rotating, let's say in an anti-clockwise direction, then it should take me longer to get from London to India. And if it's rotating, let's say in a clockwise direction, I should get to India quicker. Because if I'm flying a plane and I'm going this way and the ball is going like that, then India should spin to me quicker. Or if it's going that way and I'm flying a plane to India, it's taking longer to get to India because it's spinning away from me.
Yeah.
But we find that the time of flight can still relatively equal. Like it should be way less. So if the Earth is spinning on its own axis, how is it possible that I can fly one direction to the one country is roughly the same time? I fly the other direction to the same country, it's roughly the same time as well. But maybe there's counter arguments to even that. Yeah, so it's an interesting one. Okay, I will have to wrap up. But
if you've got a minute, we can just discuss the future sessions.
So on the 15th, we'll do the overview of Canto 6. Of Canto 6. And then either in that session or the next session, depending on what Buddhapalana Prabhu desires, we can kind of do, I'm happy to go through a super summary of what we've covered, like a kind of almost like a storyline between 1 to 6, just in an hour. So it kind of refreshes everyone's memories. Or unless he wants to go into Canto 7, but Canto 7, 8, 9 overviews, etc., they'll be done in the future by another devotee who we're not yet confirmed. But next week I'll do Canto 6. Not next week, next fortnight I'll do Canto 6.
Yeah. The other thing is we can use the ISKCON RedBridge account, but just not at this time. And so Jagannath Chan uses it 9:30 to 11.
Got it.
So it's coming up to 11:30 now. So if we did it, I think in the evening, perhaps, if that suits you, your evening or our evening, sorry, then we would be able to use the ISKCON RedBridge account and wouldn't be limited by 40
Sounds
minutes.
good. Yeah, well, I'll be doing probably max 1, if not 2 more fortnights anyway. And then the next person who does the overviews, according to their time zone, it may be that you have to do it in the evening anyway. For example, if it's in Ghana or if they're in India or like that. So
yeah.
So I guess for the next fortnight, we'll probably keep this same time, and I'll see if I can work out that subscription account.
Sure.
And then we adjust the time accordingly for the next speakers. But yeah, I'll definitely do Canto 6 overview. I'll do Canto 6 overview next fortnight. And then if Buddhapalana Prabhu wants us to do Canto 6 overview plus an overview of the others, I can, or Canto 6 overview, and then the next fortnight, an overview again of 1 to 6. Or he may just want me to do Canto 6 overview next fortnight, and then the next fortnight, the next speaker for Canto 7. So either way, I'll just confirm with him and see what he says.
Just one last point. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but there is a plugin you can get for Vedabase that lets you copy and paste with the diacritics. I'll send you the link. So you can paste it in Unicode essentially, and so that maintains the diacritics.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, it really is cool actually.
Diacritics or not?
I'll live and breathe.
This one's just got the dots.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll send you the link.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks for a nice little exploration of the Vedic cosmology. Yeah, definitely interesting thoughts. One of my teachers joked that this is one section of the Bhagavatam that produces more questions than answers, but yeah, it will be revealed. But yeah, we get the basic principles. We get the principle of consciousness in the different heavenly planets, hellish planets. We get the expansiveness of Krishna. We understand that this is Krishna's expansive energy. and the whole point of learning about these descriptions, develop more faith. And in a sense, Krishna's compassion to us that we have so many different desires to separate away from Krishna that he's created this entire universe just to facilitate our desire to be away from him, so that he doesn't interfere with our free will, which is pretty remarkable. And everything's very acutely designed for that as well. But yeah, all the best. Nice to see and speak to you all. And we'll keep you updated with what Bridwan Prabhu says about the next few couple of fortnights.
Likewise. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, take care.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna. Thank you, Harbo.
Jana Tagore Pramanandi.
Hare Hare Bol.